It's impossible to see, but God is gonna work it out if you just believe. While you thinking through it, yo, guess what? Welcome, guys, to episode 16 of Life of a Single Mom with and Creasha. I hope you
Brittany.
guys had a great week as usual. I wanted to start out with a scripture. I'm going to be reading from Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. That means exactly what it says. You have to trust in God with all you got. And you have to believe. I mean, I know when I was a kid, I used to ask myself, like, how do we know, which religion or which, church to go to and actually pray to? I just believe that there is a higher power, God, and you have to believe in his word. You have to read and worship and have a connection with him so that you can learn to see those things that he is doing in your life, things that happen every day that we, overlook because we think it's just what people most likely say you're lucky, and I don't really think you're lucky. I think it's a blessing from God, but you have to have a connection with him and see the things that he do, and then having strength, like when you weak and you pray to him and you ask for that strength, he give you that strength to get through that day, to make sure that you make it through, to see the outcome of all that you're going through is not for nothing, so sometimes we might be going through stuff and we praying and it seems like nothing is happening, but at the end of the tunnel, you be like, dang, that was something that I really went through, and I actually got through it. And I know we have some of those stories, we've been through a lot that we've overcome. So you just got to keep that word. But today is Brittany's day, so I'm gonna let her take the floor.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off of what you just said, that's it's actually gonna lead right into what I wanted to talk about because that's something that I struggle with too, like not knowing if it's just circumstances, things happening, or if it's just higher power, making things work. But if you guys been tuning in, I've talked a lot about my marriage and the dissolve of it and some of the things that I went through. But if you close to me, you know pretty much everything that's been going on. And so right now I'm kind of in a place where I'm starting to see like karma and I guess God's vengeance playing out. And Krisha, for years I've been saying like I'm so tired of waiting. Like, why won't God, get him back? Like, why is he, steady progressing and not getting anything
Mm-hmm.
happening to him, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? And I remember like especially my auntie, she was like, don't worry, God is not pleased, and God is gonna handle it. And as bad as I wanted to handle it and take things into my own hands, I'm glad that I didn't because now I get to see God have his vengeance. Like when I tell you that this man lost literally everything, like business, accounts, everything. And he basically at the mercy of me, stand with me. You know what I'm saying? And I've never really been like a vengeful person. So I still have a good heart. That's my son's father. I'm not just going to turn my back on him and leave him out to dry. You know what I'm saying? But it amazes me like how things are transpiring now. And a little bit more like he has three vehicles and each one I've watched each one of them break down in a matter of a month. Like each one, like to where last night he had to borrow my car to go to work. You know what I'm saying? From three vehicles of him not helping me with my car
Mhm.
note all these years, and him buying all those vehicles when he couldn't help me pay mines off. And now look, and he said something to me this morning. He was like, I regret a lot of stuff I did. I should have listened to you and stuff like that. And I'm just like, it's too late for that. I should have. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, hopefully that'll pay off with your next wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to take that, but I'm glad for him, but at the same time, I'm not a real, Christian person. I'm just now trying to get into the walk, but I've always like lived my life by my basic principles, and I raised my children with these, like, you do unto others as you want them to do unto you. You don't do stuff to people that you don't want nobody doing to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I've always treated people no matter what. Like, I'm not perfect. I made mistakes when I was younger, but I've always treated people with kindness and, tried to help as much as I could. So when you sit there and you watch somebody like, you know, building a business, getting blessings and getting stuff coming to them, and then you just like, how they gonna get rewarded for the stuff they doing? But you guys got to know too that the devil rewards his minions too. So sometimes when you see somebody, leveling up, or, it appears that they being blessed and God is shining on them, that's not always the case, because the devil has quite a bit of power too, and he will set his soldiers up for success. You know what I'm saying? So that's something else that you got to take into consideration. So I have a little bit of satisfaction that, karma's hitting him, but I do feel bad because, that affects his ability to take care of my son and
Mhm.
different things like that, and to be able to get out. That's something I'm dealing with too. And another thing that I wanted to talk about with you guys is having a hard time dealing with other people's success and them, having good things going on for them. I know, like, just a little transparency. Sometimes, like, when I hear even you talk about the stuff you got going on with your kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get jealous sometimes because if like, the stuff that's going on with me, like, I don't really have too many, I don't want to get emotional, but I don't really have too many things to be
Yeah.
happy about right now. So it's just like, instead of being more happy for the people around me, I sit and
Yeah.
I soak in my misery. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I just wanted to put that out there, because you can't get blessed if not happy for people around you. You gotta celebrate others and they success and they progression and their triumphs and stuff like that. You gotta be happy and know that what's meant for you is meant for you,
Yeah.
and what's meant
I
for other
believe
people is meant for them.
that we all have our own journeys, and some of the stuff that we go through is on us, but some of it is on generational curses. It's on the way we've been raised and the things we lack in knowledge. So a lot of these things that we have been through is because of those reasons. We didn't have those parents that was on us and teaching us the things that we needed to teach, to learn to live a good quality life, because they obviously didn't know, or they just wasn't in their right state of mind to teach us that. However, um you getting it now, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of things you learning late, I'm learning late, but we
Yeah.
getting it now. And that's the most important thing. It's not where you start, is where you finish. And it's just, it's good that you're recognizing this stuff so that you can
Right.
work on it. Some people are in denial their whole entire life, and that's just how their life is gonna always be. But at least you're recognizing the things that are wrong here and your mistakes, and you correcting those. So you got to give yourself credit for that.
Yeah, I'm definitely. seeing that, and that's what I said about growing. Like, I got a lot of flaws as a human being, we all do, but um I think that the most important thing that you can do as a person is constantly reflecting, constant accountability for the stuff that you
Yeah.
do. And sometimes you don't catch it right away. Sometimes you got to sit back, reflect, and then you'll be able to
Hmm.
take accountability for the stuff you do. But I'm trying to do that for me, like even with my kids now, like I'm starting to realize, like, I'm not responsible for when they get it or realize what they've done. I'm only responsible for me, and that's what I'm gonna worry about. Um, like you said, understanding that everybody's path is different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gonna have a path. Like, for instance, your
Yeah.
path was a little more smoother than mine. Mine's what I had some little cracks in the road. You know what I'm saying? And like everybody's path is like that. Even the most successful people, like,
Hmm.
had they traveled raggedy roads before they got to
Yeah.
those nice
Yeah.
smooth
And I wouldn't say that I
boardwalks and
had
stuff. You know
like
what I'm saying?
uh
But
I mean, I guess you could say that my road was a little smoother, but I just battle a lot of things within. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't be so quick to, I don't have a lot of family anyway to expose it to. So, pretty much, it's only a couple people that's going to know everything I'm going through because it's just like that. But everything is different for people. Like, your struggle is your struggle, my struggle is my struggle, and I feel like things that are hard for you may not be hard for me, things that are hard for me may not be hard for you. You know what I'm saying? Because some things that you go through and you tell me, I'd be like, shit, if I was going through that, I'd probably die right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's just all in what you can handle. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying just because you can handle a lot more that you should go through a lot more, but it's just that's your walk. You know what I'm saying? And God is obviously trying to get your attention here. So once he has your undivided attention, and sometimes he have to strip you from everything. You know what I'm saying? And once he has your undivided attention, which I see he's starting to get, then that's when things are going to start unraveling and then putting back together. You know what I'm saying? So right now he picking out the pieces that don't need to be there, and then he going to mount them all back together how it's supposed to be.
yeah, I mean, that's one way of looking at it.
I
But
understand. Well, that's why big
I'm
sister
not
here,
there
I
yet,
got
so
you.
I don't
We going
know.
to do
I
it
don't
together.
necessarily believe. I'm not necessarily gonna
That's
believe that
where
that's how
faith
it's gonna
comes,
play out,
girl.
but
Faith without works
we'll
is
see.
dead.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the process of building me, breaking me down and building me back up. It may not necessarily play
I
out
think.
like that, but uh, as far as him getting my attention, that's definitely there. I know, um, not just that, like, I'm serious about the getting my attention because it's crazy because even the job that I work at a Christian based childcare, and everybody around me there is
Positive.
going to church and always trying to get me involved in stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, my boss gave me like this big study Bible. I think I showed you guys last week, and then she actually just gave me these two. It's like this little jar of however you're feeling, you just pull one of the little scrolls and it'll give you a scripture of encouragement and stuff to help you through that. So, yeah, so I feel like, God is like, well, you're not listening, so I'm gonna put people around you to bring you in. Lastly, just to go back to what I was saying about being happy for other people is, when you're celebrating other people's happiness, don't focus so much on whatever you're going through. Because if you spend too much time questioning, well, why isn't this happening for me? It take away from the focus of the person that you
Yeah.
should be celebrating at the moment. You know what I'm saying? And I want to get into talking about my parenting. You if you guys have been following us, I was a teenage mother, and so I, started parenting quite young, but I always like prided myself and I had one goal on always being better than my mother, being a better mother than she was, um, not just financially, but emotionally, physically, spiritually, things like that. And all these years, I prided myself on being able to do that. And I was under the impression that I had successfully done that. But now, that I'm starting to see like a lot of the stuff that's happened with my kids and stuff like that, I'm starting to realize like I have a lot of the qualities that my mother had. And I think
Mhm.
that's just because that's what I saw. You know what I mean? Like, um, just like my parenting, like my rules are old school, like how my mom was. I don't think that I fully adapted to, the current times. And I feel like my kids should be like I was raised. You respect your elders, you
Mhm.
stay out of grown folks' business. You what dress like a young lady, you know what I'm saying? You go to school, you don't talk back to your parents, stuff like that, which I think are still very important principles and values and stuff to live by. But at the same time, like I was telling you a little while ago, I don't think that because each kid
Mhm.
is individual and they're unique and they're different, So like my kids may not necessarily be like me. Like they might not have, swag like me or be able to fit in
Mhm.
certain, scenes because they different. You know what I'm saying? Their friend group is different. Their
Mhm.
interests are different. Their likes are different. You know what I'm saying? And so just being able to accept them for who they are and not necessarily who I think they should
Yeah.
be, if that makes sense. Because I feel like so many times, like, especially as parents, when we make mistakes in our childhood and adulthood, we try to fix those mistakes through our kids. And so, like, for me, mine was always because I didn't finish high school, was always finish high
Mhm.
school, don't have no babies before you grown, and, be respectful, to your parents and adults and stuff. So I had basic principles, you know what I'm saying? I always told my kids, even when they had jobs and stuff in high school, I'm just like, your job is just going to school. That's what I want you to do. Like, what did you say earlier about they
Yeah.
gonna walk their own
I
path and make their
said a
own
little bit
mistakes because we
about
did as well.
being, and I didn't learn this right away. You have to let your kids be creative in their own ways. Like, like you said, teach them the basic things, instill those great things and those solid foundations of love and family and being orientated with the people that you grow up with and having solid relationships to stand on. But at the same time, your kids are young. Like, when you have them and they little, they listen to everything. Like when you have a baby, a few months old and they start talking and stuff, they say the words that they mostly hear every day. You know what I'm saying? So those things are being instilled in them from day one, and then they learn those things for a few years, and then they get into a stage where they don't want to play with baby toys no more. They want big kids toys. You know what I'm saying? So then it changes, and then they become right before the teenage stage, they start growing into their own selves, and they have their own mind and their own colors that they like and their own things they like to do. That's why one kid might like Spider-Man, the other kid might like Ninja Turtle. But if you only stuck on everybody getting Spider-Man because they boys, you have to let them be creative and pick what they like, because that's giving them their own opportunity to grow into who they're gonna be. If we always do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, that's all you doing. You basically teaching them slave work. Like you gotta let them speak up for themselves. Like teenagers, I get so tired of parents feeling like just because you the parent, you know everything. You don't know everything. Sometimes you can learn from your kids if you listen sometime and stop trying to just be in control of everything, because they young adults. How are you going to expect them to go into the world and express their creativity if all they know is what my mom and dad told me to do? This is all I know. I want to do that, but I ain't never did it because I've only been told to do this. That's not cool. That's why it's a, I know you've seen the Tyler Perry movie, Miss Good Deeds or something like that, when he was married. Is that the one? No Good Deeds or something like that. When he's married to the black girl, and he's in the mirror in the beginning of the movie, and he's like, I've only done what my family told me to do. They had me groomed from a child, and I had to do this and do that, and that's all I got to do. Like, no one wants to live
Yeah.
like that. You got to give your kids room to grow, you know. And that's sometimes that's why kids that are on strict paths, when they break out, they go crazy because they've never been able to feel free. So now I'm free. I'm doing every damn thing I want to do, and I don't care if it costs me my life, it costs me this, it cost, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not thinking because you never gave them an opportunity to be their self.
Yeah. That's and that's what I mean. Like I've always paid attention to like things that my kids were interested in, and I've tried to, develop in those areas with them. But, just I feel like I could have taken it a
Yeah.
step further and did a little better. And that's just part of taking accountability for the stuff that I've, realized that I could have been better at. And, you know, I did want to just say first and foremost that I did do better than my mother, and I have done quite a lot better than her. But I also wanted to say that I have a lot of like forgiveness that I need to do on myself. Like I still hold myself accountable for being a teenage mother and stuff like that. Like uh all the mistakes that I've made like in the past, like I'm always so hard on myself within, like internal. And that's some stuff I gotta let go of. Like realize that I was still a kid. I did the best I could,
Hmm.
like things like that, and stop being so hard on myself for the mistakes that I made because um I didn't have certain tools to utilize. I didn't have friends and family to lean on. So it was different for me. And that's what I meant when I say my path was a little more rugged than
Yeah.
yours. Um, I kind of was by myself, really. Like I didn't have anybody. And so I just kind of like, I want to like forgive myself for things like that, like not stuff that was out of my control. And even so, like the mistakes that I made with my kids, I struggle too because I'm like, well, if their dads were involved, then all of this would have been on me and things like that. So those are just things that I internalize and struggle
Well,
um within myself.
yeah.
But that's what I was saying. Like I wanted to talk about forgiveness because you know that I've been like priding myself on holding grudges. Like, you know me, like if I cut you off, I'm cool and
Yeah.
I mean that shit. Like it ain't nothing that you can do like to make me talk back to you and shit like that. But I wanna like I'm getting older now. I'm about to be 38 this year and I'm just like I don't wanna be that same
Yeah.
angry person no more. Like it doesn't do me no good. It's not making me no money. It's not making me smarter to be mad. Like and then like just learning that forgiveness is not about the other people, it's for me, because I often struggle with I don't want to feel like no sucker, like fuck that,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But um sometimes it's not about winning or losing or anything like that. It's more so about finding like peace and balance in your life and your
Yeah.
mental, you know what I mean? And um like I was talking about like the mistakes I made with my kids. Like I have really strange relationships with my children. Like my two oldest ones, I'm not even talking to right now. Um, well, I actually reached out to my oldest son to check on my granddaughter this week, so I am talking to him. And then my other son's birthday is on Monday, so I'm reaching out to them, trying to fix the relationships that we have, but and that's what I meant, like learning to forgive them for the stuff that they do. And even though they not ready to, admit where they was wrong, or, admit the things they doing, that's not for me to decide. They'll come to it when they ready to. It's just about
Yeah.
what I'm taking accountability for right now. That's another thing I wanted to discuss was taking learning how to take criticism and not be butthurt about it. Cause I think a lot of us have that problem. I know I do that a lot. I know sometimes I've seen you do that. A lot of people do that. Like people say stuff to us and we take it the wrong way. And that's one thing that I want to work on, because I do it like in my personal relationships, in my professional relationships. So I could be at work and, somebody might say something to me and then I might take it offensive. Or you could be telling me something
Yeah.
and I take it offensive. You know what I mean? So I wanted to learn to just not take things so personal and be butthurt no more about certain things. And even if I feel some type of way, not always assume that the
Yeah,
person
I think when you
meant it
say
to be that way.
when
You
you
know what I mean?
do talk to somebody and you get their words, you hear what they saying to you and you feel some type of way about it, I feel like you should discuss that with them, because maybe they didn't mean it that way, but sometimes people say stuff and don't know how to explain it, so it come off rude, or it comes off, in a way that you gonna take it like, oh, you trying to be on some funny stuff, but I just always I mean, I've not always done this, but I've started doing this. Like, I'll talk to the person and ask them, like, well, what you mean by that? Because I don't want to jump to conclusions and we start a whole argument over something that was just misunderstood. So sometimes you just need to clarify what they saying. Like, did you know what I'm saying? What did you mean by that? Or what do like, you could ask them in a respectful way, just so that things don't go left. Because if you're dealing with two hotheads like me and you, we can clash on just a stupid misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? And it shouldn't even be that way. But because we are not on that level of, okay, I can communicate with everybody in a positive, respectful manner, we still got that, I jump off a little bit. It's like you can't do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? But I'm getting better. I try as hard as I can.
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm saying. Like, we still have our shortcomings here and there, but we growing, and it's just
Mhm.
realizing that we do that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest
Yeah.
part of it, is realizing. I was sitting here and I was talking to one of my coworkers at work, and I was just showing her like the difference in like how much weight I lost and stuff like that. And she was like, "Girl, you still dress like you think you weigh that much." And I was like, I do, low key. Like, I have like no sense of fashion, no sense of style. Like, and you know that. So yeah, I just wanna try to like do better with that. Like, even, when we go out and stuff, like, I'm not the best at dressing and stuff. So that's something else that I wanted to work on, like feeling
Hmm.
more confident now that I've lost all that weight and learning to dress like I have lost the weight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still order clothes. Like, I just ordered some clothes not too long ago and I had to literally send them all back because they was too big. So
Wow.
I'm still like ordering stuff like that's too big for me. So yeah. And I think that's just a mental mind game. Like, my eyes are making me think and my mind is making me
Yeah,
think
because
that
you
I'm
was
bigger
used to
than I
it for a little
actually am
minute.
now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah. And just talking about like mending my relationships with my kids, you know what I mean? Um like, on my older kids, I feel like they were raised a little bit different than my younger kids, because I had a little more later on, you know what I mean? And I had more to give. And I feel like I was harder on my
That's what
older
most
kids than
kids
I
do.
was my younger kids. And I think like, yeah, but I want to say, like, because they usually have
Mhm.
resentment for that. Like, I know we've talked about it with our kids, you know what I'm saying? And it's not And I just want to acknowledge the fact that, it's okay for them to be resentful of that, because it's not like it didn't happen. It did happen. A lot of times
Exactly.
we grow. And that's what I told my kids. Like, I cannot be the same. I can't be the same mom that I was when I was 19, when I'm 25. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to grow over the years. Yeah. I would think that they would respect me and applaud me for being better and better, and want me to be, better with their incoming siblings. But kids don't see it like that. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge, like, that that's a real feeling, and it does happen. And sometimes that needs to be addressed. Like, so they could get a full picture on why, things were different
Yeah,
like that,
I would
why it
like to
had to
say
be like
something,
that. You know what I mean?
kind of tying into this, but I want to talk to the absent parents that have, multiple kids in one home. Um, you have to realize that when you are absent, it makes those kids that are older have to pick up the slack. And not that it's their responsibility, but they make it their responsibility because they're watching their mom struggle. They watching the things that we go through or the single father go through. So they have no choice but to pick up the slack. They have no choice but to stand in your void, in your absence. And that's not cool because these kids grow up faster than they are supposed to, and they don't get a chance to have a childhood, and it's not really our fault. I mean, from my perspective, daddy was absent because of prison issues, you know what I'm saying? And it made my older kids have to step up where they shouldn't have to step up, you know what I'm saying? And those kids do resent certain things for that too, because it's like, dang, I didn't even get a chance to be a kid. I had to, my
Mhm.
when your son is telling you as a teenager that he learned how to change a diaper before he learned how to, bounce a basketball, it's insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should not have to do this by ourselves and put that pressure on our kids, because then they can't do the things that little kids are supposed to do. Then you wonder why they grow up with this grown ass person attitude and this different type of personality. It's because I never got a chance to actually live my life. I was helping you live yours, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So y'all gotta wake up and understand that is not good to put on your kids. It's not good to put that pressure on them while they so young and make them have to worry about grown ass people situations. You know what I'm saying? A kid should not have to be worried about why their mom is in the kitchen crying because she don't have the strength today, because she don't feel good today and can't afford to call off work, so she's crying while she ironing, or she crying while she making lunches, or she's sitting in the car trying to pray or read her Bible and just give 1 second to God so that all these things can come together for the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand those things. Like, we put our kids in situations because of our behavior, and it's not their fault. So when they end up lashing out about it, we have to understand and own that. Like you said, take accountability for the things that you cause, because a lot of these things we cause ourselves by little mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we don't even know that it's a mistake when
Mhm.
we're doing it because we ain't never been taught. You know what I'm saying? So that's where that come
Until
in. Like,
later.
when you have older
Yeah.
kids versus younger kids, it's different, like you said, because you don't know as much with those first kids. You're just learning. You're growing and doing everything for the first time. So
Mhm.
yes, exactly.
They like
And it's
the
sad to
trial
say that,
kids, so
but
to
it
speak.
happens.
Like, yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's trial by error, just like when you have, you know this, because when you have your first child, any little thing that happened, you at the emergency, you at the urgent care.
You
But
like, we ain't going.
when you have the second and the third and the, like, we're just gonna grab them some Tylenol or some
Mhm.
Robitussin, and then we're gonna call it a day. You know better. Just like, like the first child, you might get the expensive brand diapers, but after a while, you like, these work the same. They're a little cheaper, but so you learn with trial and error, and that's what I was saying. Like, I wanna, start, realizing that a lot of the stuff that they did is because of the way they grew up. Like you said, like sometimes we don't even realize the mistakes that we made. Like, I know for me, my oldest son, I've always like given him a little more like I
Mhm.
bought him a car in high school, did stuff like that because he was that person for me. Like you said, he stepped in and
Mhm.
helped me basically raise his siblings. He didn't have a childhood. So when he got into high school and he started playing football, I allowed him to have that childhood
Yes.
because I had taken so many years already. I was a single mother, nobody's dad was involved, and so my son watched his siblings every day for years while I went to work. And,
Yeah.
that was a lot on a little kid. I think he was probably maybe 6 or 7 when he started helping watch his siblings. So, I mean, he knew how to change a diaper at that age. He knew how to make a bottle, and that was none of his job. That was not his responsibility, and it shouldn't have been placed on him. But when you're a single mother, you don't have no other options. You don't have no help. So, um, that's another thing. But the thing that bothers me about that is when I've tried to do family therapy with my son, and he just won't do it. I put him in individual therapy. He did it for months, but he just never opened up about anything. He would just go and talk to the guy about sports and different things like that. But that's something that I know he struggles with, like within himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, like I did all this. And then I feel like sometimes when we get into it, he feels like because he did that, I should overlook
Yeah.
certain things. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like that anymore. You're a grown man now, and I got to hold you
Yeah.
accountable for the shit that you do. I can't always cut you slack just because you looked out for me years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Like right now, knowing and understanding that my kids are kids. They immature as fuck right now. They don't get nothing. They don't know
Yeah.
nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, as bad as I want them to understand like what they doing and the severity of it and how fucked up they being,
Yeah.
they not gonna get it right now because all they give a fuck about is the little shit they care about. You know what I'm saying? And so I just wanna, you know, accept them for who they are at this point and deal with them, where they are, and just accept that um eventually, they either will, realize the error in their ways or they won't, and that's okay. But understanding that it don't always gotta be a battle or a confrontation with them. I can just choose to step back and not acknowledge it, not engage in
Mhm.
it, you know what I mean? To make things worse. Because a lot of times I struggle with wanting to maintain the higher role and be the parent. You know what I mean? Like I hate for my kids to make me feel like they think they in charge. Like they'll say shit to me that is just like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? They'll be like, "All right, man, like stop." Basically, that translates to stop talking
Right.
to me. You know what I mean? Like, or just be quiet. Like I've had my kids
Yeah.
tell me to shut the fuck up, little shit like that. And see, that as bad as I want to maintain my composure and be the mature one, that shit
Yeah.
takes me out and it takes me to a
And see,
place I
that's
don't
where
like
the
to go.
dad is.
And that's what I mean when I say I don't want.
That's where the dad is. I said that's where the dad should
You said
step in,
what?
you know? That's their position. That's our position.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's about, and that's what I meant about like earlier. I said like I struggle on the fence. I teeter back and forth because I'm like, yeah, I made mistakes. I fucked up. But on the other hand, I'm like, where was you niggas at? You know what I'm saying? Like everything can't be on me. You know what I'm saying? If you was here, you getting your kid being involved, a lot of shit wouldn't have happened. Like my son wouldn't have had to watch everybody's kid
Yeah,
because
real
the dads
question.
would have been with their kids. You know what I'm saying? So
I want to ask you a
it's just
question. Because you
yeah.
have 5 boys. Do you ever hear, like, when you do tell people that you have all those boys, do you ever hear
Mhm.
people tell you, like, oh, you're blessed because you got a lot of boys and you are mostly a boy mom? Like, I always hear that I'm strong and oh, you're blessed and oh man, that's crazy. You got all boys. Like, why the hell do we have to play those roles of being strong all the time? Like, why we can't be the nurturing mothers that we meant to be and the dad just do what the hell they supposed to do so we ain't gotta even play both roles because that's exhausting to be both people at one time. You know what I'm saying? It's exhausting when you know your son have questions about it and you can't answer.
That's what I was just saying the other day. Like, I've been a mom for over 22 years, and a single mother at that. And I was just saying to my son's dad, like, I'm tired. Like, I've been working their whole life. I've been playing both roles. I had to pay for everything. I had to do all the extracurricular by myself, all the meetings, all the back to school nights, the parent teacher conferences, all the dentist, doctor appointments. I'm exhausted. Like, I want to lay back and let somebody take care of me for once. Like, not necessarily financially because I'll never make that mistake again, but um
I know what you
I
mean,
feel
like
like I like to
mentally,
work, and
physically,
being
spiritually, like
idle is
just
no
taking
good.
care of you. Yeah. Having a solid partner.
Yeah, just
Mm-hmm.
have somebody, yeah, be there for me. Yeah, like be able to support me and not have to worry about it. Like, even though he may not have all the money that I need, the support mentally and emotionally and spiritually is enough to fulfill
Yeah.
the void. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's okay. Like, I'm to a point now, and like, I'm not looking for it. I don't have no desire to date or meet anybody or be with anybody. I just want to really focus on mending those relationships with my kids, because at one point, it's just us. It's always been us, and I just wanted to never, like, forget that is the most important thing, and that's the core is me and my kids. And I also mentioned earlier that I wanted to be a better mom. My mom wasn't a great mother, and if you know a little bit about, because I've discussed it on our podcast, and if you close to me, I've discussed it on a personal level. But I felt like when I had kids, my mom had a chance to redeem herself with her grandkids, and push to be a better grandmother than she was a mother. And she failed at that too. Excuse me. And I wanted to uh put that out there just because I feel like I've been a better grandmother as well. And that's why I wanted to say, like, I told you guys I reached out to my son this week because I wanted to know about my granddaughter, and she's getting so big, and I need to go see her. But I just want to be more active and involved with her, and not be like my mother was, because she
Right.
didn't help me at all, like, not even for work. But I it's funny that you shared a scripture from Isaiah, because that's exactly what I had wrote down for my scripture today. Not the same scripture, but from the book of Isaiah. I wanted to share with you guys Isaiah 43, uh chapter 43, verse 4. It says, "You are of great worth in my eyes, and you are honored, and I love you." And this spoke to me because I don't, people talk about the love and the care that God or Jesus has for us. And I don't think that I've ever really took it serious. Like, the fact that he died for our sins, that fact that he loves us so much. And I think that scripture spoke to me in that manner, because it just reiterated that, you know, he loves us so much, and we are kings and queens, and he honors us, and he
Mm-hmm.
wants us to come live with him in his kingdom. You know what I mean? So, and just to know that, somebody's there, because often, as women especially, we search for love, unconditional love with these men. And it's right there in the scriptures for you guys if you're looking for it. And I know even for me, like, I need to be more consistent and serious about that, and more focus on
Yeah.
nurturing that relationship versus other ones. And I know, I've been seeing Creasha keeping up with her morning walks and stuff. So that's one thing that I just wanted to showcase, because I
Yeah.
know you said that you was gonna try to do that, and I've been
Definitely.
seeing you be
Um,
consistent with
I
that.
wanted to talk like most
Uh,
people struggle with faith, I believe, because we start out sinning, you know? And I don't mean like, of course, when you a baby, you can't do much, but when you growing up and you being taught, like if you not practicing those 10 commandments, if this is something that's not being structured in your daily life every day, you know, like people that is really women and men of God, they practice these things in their life daily, you know, and they worship. Like I grew up going to my dad's house on certain occasions, and I would see him have a structured day. Like everything is structured from the time he put his feet on that floor to the time he go to sleep. He's gonna give his honors and prayers to God first. That's the first thing I always see him do, you know, and then he proceeds with the rest of his day. But it's like we start out doing what we want to do, you know what I'm saying, and that's not how not I didn't practice that in my life every day, you know. So when my mom finally got with my stepfather, he forced us to go to church. So it was a time when me and my sister wanted to go do the choir thing. We wanted to be in the choir at church. The choir director would literally pass our house to go to the church, and stop at our house and ask our mom, "Can I take your daughters to church with me? I'll walk them down there. I'll walk them back and all that." And every week my mama would say, "Next time, next time, next time." You know, so here it is. She's like not even allowing us to go to church, and then she get with this man and she married him. Um, and then he's forcing us to go to church. So now we already got it in our mind because our mom didn't let us go. So we just like, all right, whatever, we ain't going no more. You know what I'm saying? Stop asking eventually. And then he forced us to go. We eventually got into the choir and stuff like that. But it's like if you don't create those habits for your kids, they don't grow up into those people. You know, like if you give them an option to go to church, like, you know, some people
mhm.
got it flat out. If you living in my house, you gonna praise God, you gonna we worship God in this house, you know. And that's just how it is. But some people, even us, don't give our kids, we give them the option not to go to church when we go, you know what I'm saying. If your teenagers say, "Oh no, I don't want to go," well, that's the reason why the circle is not whole, because you're not practicing these things as a family. You're leaving spaces for the devil to come in, you know? So we have to be all on the same page. If you praying, you better be a praying mom that's praying over all these kids. And that's what I do. Even my son out of the house, I pray for it. You know what I'm saying? It's just a thing that we have to get used to doing every day. And even me, I don't do it every single day, but I want to. And the more you practice it, the more it becomes a habit in your life.
Hmm. I think I think that's the easiest way to start your day, and I think that it can make a difference on the outcome of your days if you start out with a few scriptures or dedicate. And it don't have to be, because everybody's walk is different, like we talked about earlier. You don't have to be talking to God for 30 minutes or an hour. Your discussion may consist of 10 minutes or something like that, but you get what you need to get to God in that time. And I think it's important. Someone was sharing with me that they follow like this acronym. It's acts. So first is adoration. You share your adoration for God and or Jesus and whoever your higher power is. And then next is confess. Like you confess, whatever happened, what you could be better at, what you want to be. You know what I'm saying? And then next is what you thankful for, both professionally and personal. You know what I mean? Um, and then the S stands for, I think it was supplication, for what you lastly is what you want to ask him for, the things that you hoping for, praying for. and you always end that with, you know, in the name of Jesus, whoever your higher power is. And I think that will cover just your basics on what, giving that time to God. And if, especially if you new to this walk, you know what I mean? And also, I wanted to share with you guys, because remember I told you my boss just gave me this Bible verses in a jar for you guys. It has like different ones for when you feeling frustrated, anxious, happy, troubled, sad, or grateful. So today I'm gonna be sharing one. It's a purple little scroll for troubled, because that's how I've been feeling. And so let's see what it has to say. It is from Psalms 23:4. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So, just a little bit of encouragement for someone else who may be out there feeling troubled, or, hopefully that helped you. Um, Creature, is there anything else you want to say before I get
Um,
into?
just always keep your faith in God, even though things don't look like they're changing. You have to pray in the storm. That's the only way you're gonna come out the storm. You have to overcome those obstacles that you feel, like if you lonely, you got to pray to God about that. If you angry, you got to go to God about that. I don't feel like, I mean, you can do counseling and you can do anger management and all of those things, but that didn't work for me. Prayer worked for me. And that's the reason why I press on my sister and tell her about trusting God and He's going to reveal Himself to you and all of those things, because I didn't always think like this. I was out there living a street life. And it wasn't until I started praying to God for Him to release me from those demons and for Him to remove all the people that were not good for me out my life. And the craziest part is one of them was my son's dad. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about my first one. Like, I asked God to remove him out my life. And that's why I was able to walk away from that situation and not, let it consume me, because God showed me everything that I didn't want for me or my son. And I went through a lot in that relationship in a split time, only for him to be taken off of this earth. You know what I'm saying? So it's like God showed me a lot of things that wasn't meant for my life, and that's why I know that being a gangbanger, being a street girl, being a prostitute, being a stripper, selling drugs, all of those things I know are not for me, because God gave me a chance to walk through those streets and to go through those fires and those hard places to understand I didn't belong here. This is not my calling for your life. So I always had some conscience in the back of my head telling me, yeah, you don't need to do these things, or yeah, you need to go ahead and change. And I finally just kept praying about it, and God moved me, you know. Coming to Vegas was the best thing ever for me, because it changed my life, not only changed my life, but gave my kids a life. You know, I met my kid's father, and yeah, we did a whole lot of toxicity stuff, but it was his parents that was in the mix for us when we couldn't be for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So that was God's grace on my life. So don't ever give up on him, because he don't ever give up on us.
I think that's a good message to leave you guys with. I also wanna leave you guys with Krisha's birthday is coming up at the end of the month, so I don't know if she shared this in one of her private videos, but she's having like a 3-day birthday extravaganza that we're gonna be
Y'all
out there
posted
tearing
video.
up the streets in Las Vegas. So we'll be definitely, yeah, we'll definitely be posting, and if you out, you guys come join us if you out there. Um, so that's just something that's coming up. I also want to make sure that you guys are all following us on social media platforms. We need you guys to run it up. awesome traction on our platforms on Facebook and Instagram. We're under Life of a Single Mom with Brittney&Creasha. On X and TikTok, we're under the acronym of Life of a Single Mom with Brittney&Creasha. So that's LOASM 2024. That's on X and TikTok. We upload new videos every Monday night, so you guys stay tuned for those on Spotify and YouTube. And as always, you guys know what to do. Do your best, stay less stressed and more
Yes.
blessed while you out here in these
Have a
streets
good
raising
week,
these
guys.
kids. Until next time, you guys.
How cute.